Greetings, I'm your host Video Vomit. Today I am standing in my office in front of a giant toy shelf full of vintage 80s toys, 90s toys, stuff like that, because I'm extremely excited today to bring you a unboxing slash first impressions review of the Masters of the Universe Origins figures. Finally got my hands on some of these. Extremely excited. I am a massive Masters of the Universe fan. And it's really cool that we're getting something like this in 2020. I think we need it. I think we need the win. So let's open these up, let's have some fun, and let's look at some toys. Okay, so we have our packaged figures inside my makeshift photo booth here. And I thought it'd be cool to kind of compare them to their Super 7 Filmation counterparts. So we'll start with He-Man, of course. Obviously, there are a bit of differences when it comes to these figures. They have like their little exclamation bubbles there as seen on TV, and then the new one from the Origins line says "Modern posing for retro play." It's pretty cool that both of these kind of nailed the vintage style, but also kind of made it their own. And I just wanted to kind of compare them. Let's look at the backs of both of them. So they obviously show the characters and the figures that are available in their each lines, and always fun to see the art that they come up with for the top of the cards and stuff. So that's really cool. I do really dig this new card art. It is really, really cool. I know that a lot of them have like different styles and stuff, so that's also appreciated. I do enjoy that. The new one is all just posing and articulation as to where the Super 7 Filmation style did the retro punch, the power punch action. So that's pretty interesting. We'll get further into the articulation and stuff once we open them up. But yeah, I just wanted to compare the He-Mans together. Now let's take a look at the Skeletors together. Okay, so we have our two Skeletors, the evil lord of destruction. And this one doesn't have the middle divot right there, so it kind of sits forward a little bit, but that's fine. So these, I would say, are pretty, it's pretty much the same thing. This has the same kind of aesthetic and everything, same kind of stuff that we covered with the He-Man one. Yeah, very cool nonetheless. Very interesting. It's pretty cool to see that we've had like such different lines, but both of them are so reminiscent of the vintage line, and it's not just something like Masters of the Universe Classics out there for everyone. Now there's kind of something out there for everyone. I know that Super 7 doesn't have the license anymore or anything, but still really cool to see. So let's open these guys up and let's put them in our other photo booth, our more Masters of the Universe appropriate photo booth, and then we'll go over articulation, accessories, and everything. Okay, so we finally have our new Masters of the Universe Origins figures freed from their retro style packaging, and I gotta say I'm pretty impressed, and I'm feeling very excited, because it wasn't too long ago that something like this, coming from Mattel at least, seemed kind of like a daydream, and now here I am with them inside my photo booth here that I've created specifically for this episode, by the way. It took the reason why it took me so long, and another reason is because I had gotten Skeletor first, and I had procured them at the same time, and then somehow the fates would be I got 2 cancellation orders, and so I had to procure He-Man in a different kind of way. So luckily I had a friend that reached out to me when I asked, cast a very wide net to look for one of these He-Man figures, and luckily a friend of mine completely sympathized and was willing to part with one of theirs. So
here they are together at last out of the packaging, and like I said, I am very impressed. These are really, really fun figures. Let's talk about that this is a cool aspect of collecting, where this is something that your kids can get into along with you, because these figures are meant for play. They're meant to be kind of knocked around together, and it's even cooler that you can take some of these apart, that at the boots and the waists and the wrists and the arms and heads, like they're all swappable, which is really cool. And it's kind of interesting that you could with also the new WWF or WWE, I don't know what it is, with their whole roster of figures that they have, you can create your own Masters of the Universe character, and have them battle alongside Skeletor and He-Man. I feel like that's something really cool, something I would have wanted as a kid to be able to do. I always enjoyed making my own original character, to fight alongside some of my favorite characters from all kinds of different IPs. So let's start out with the most powerful man in the universe himself, He-Man. And I feel like a fun way to kick this off would be to compare him to his original. I just wanted to get a fun shot of them next to each other, and I'm buying time until I can get He-Man to stand up properly on a rock. Okay, young He-Man is going to help older He-Man stand. There's an elderly joke in there, but I'm not going to make it. So I just wanted to get them next to each other. Obviously, this head sculpt and hair sculpt is nothing like the original. This is a vintage one. This one is from, let's check the back, Taiwan. I might get some judgment that I didn't know right away, but that's fine. And I also, you may have noticed, his hair was completely gone after a certain point. So he had no more hair paint, and so this He-Man was asking for some help, and so I gave it to him. And I also gave him the bracers and repainted his boots for him. But this has been my He-Man for a very long time now, since I was a kid, and I thought he needed a little bit of a refresher. And also next to him we have our new one. So they have the same feel, a lot like how the Masters of the Universe Classics, they also had the same feel of the original toys, but this time they're in the same scale as one another, and so hypothetically, you could play with these new ones with your old vehicles or with the old play sets, so that's really, really, really cool. And then also, if your kid or you or whatever, you want just an updated He-Man and Skeletor or an updated character, you can throw that into your collection if you really want to, if you want that sort of chaos, because I'm too obsessive compulsive for something like as daring as that, but that's besides the point. I just wanted to get these, a cool shot with these two next to each other. I'm going to do the same thing with Skeletor. But this He-Man does not have a power punch. It is simply just all articulation. You can actually, like I mentioned before, oh god, he breaks it in half. Video vomit breaks toys in video. You can take these apart, and there's like this new kind of joint. And this is so besides the point, but I noticed that they did something, Hasbro, or Mattel, my mistake, had done something similar with some other toys in the past with like the way that the joint looks and everything. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. And now here we see it implemented in something, where it can kind of like work as a nice feature to the line. So that's pretty cool. Let's go with accessories. Obviously, I pulled out his sword, but we'll get to that last. His shield first doesn't really have the same kind of feel or look as the vintage one, maybe a little bit closer to the cartoon or some of the artwork, but still really cool nonetheless. Goes on, he does have the open palm hand, and then the clip, you put his hand through and clip it right on. So there we go, just like that. And it fits on there pretty nice, which is always a good thing to have. You know, you want to be able to, you know, have He-Man have a shield, and you want him to be able to hold his accessories nice. So that's something else, is that this figure does really hold accessories fairly well. So that's really a nice thing. Let's take that off, and then yes, he's got his battle axe. I believe this is different from the one that was sold with the Prince Adam 2-pack. A lot like the head sculpt is different. The boot is different. There's lots of differences with that one, but this one, I believe, from what I heard, has a smaller handle for the axe there. So there he is with his battle axe, which is pretty cool. And then we'll move on to his sword. And so I thought this was interesting. They're doing the sides again, the put them together. And I thought it was interesting that they switch the sides, like the old ones. They're not actually the same side that they were on. So, you know, I do wish that they included a like a whole sword, so that you can so that you're able to, like the classics did. That'd be really nice if that was like a feature, just like these. So, you know, it's cool that we get to do the two halves of the power sword again. But like I said, just wish that there was like that little extra. I get it, you know, plastic ain't cheap, but still cool, still really cool. And it is kind of like a tradition, you know. So there is that. It's just for displaying purposes and for, you know, even for play purposes. It did bother me as a kid that his sword wasn't whole. I didn't really know that it was, you know, supposed to be the key or whatever. I was kind of, you know, I just had my own world of He-Man going on in my head. So, but very cool. Excited to have these. Yeah, he looks great holding it. So it's easily hideable if you don't want people to see it. But there are certain poses that would be more challenging to pull off. So with just keeping it with the clean side. All right, and I guess let's bring in now our other friend here. Let's bring in the evil Lord of Destruction himself. And yeah, let's put him next to his vintage counterpart. So really exciting to see this. Skeletor is an iconic character. I mean, he stood out to me a lot as a kid. Of course, I had my original Skeletor had no armor, had no accessories, didn't have the belt. It was just his hood and his boots and his loincloth. That's all he had. But still, like, that character really stood out to me. And after that, he was like the main reason why I was like, what is this? What are these toys? And it completely, was downhill from there. But it is really cool to see them next to each other. Something that stands out to me right away is the Havoc staff. How well they did a good job on the new Havoc staff. They look very similar. They obviously have subtle differences. A lot softer sculpt on this than there is, but it's just such a cool update. It's so interesting that something like this is possible. New expression, obviously. But yeah, this is so cool to see. The plastic is very different feeling. Plastics now are nothing like the plastics from back then. So these they feel very fundamentally different. But it is really cool to see them next to each other. All right, and let's get into what this evil Lord of Destruction has to offer us. So like I was talking about before, we have his Havoc Staff, and he's got the one open hand, like the Vintage, but you're still able to get some pretty interesting and fun poses out of him with it nonetheless. I will say that with these figures, I've bought one of the wrestling ones, and I have Teela and He-Man and Skeletor, and not with Teela so much, but with the male figures, they have a very kind of weak wrist sometimes, and so with some of the accessories, it is a bit of an annoying thing to kind of like finagle the weapon into their hand and stuff. So that gets a little, it's whatever, but just a note, I'm sure that there are other people that care about those things more than others. So, it's whatever. But another thing is that he does not really like to hang on to his staff that much. So, because the staff would be top heavy, the staff tends to kind of like drift out of his hand or fall over while you're working with it. So closer to the top is probably the best way to have him if you don't want it like falling out of his hand or something. Oh yeah, the armor. So with He-Man, with the Origins He-Man, you actually have to take his body in half, like pull it apart like I did, in order to take that armor off. But for this one, it's the Vintage. No strap for the sword. Oh yeah, I forgot. That's my mistake. I forgot to show you his sword holster on the back. That was my mistake. So we got the sword holster for He-Man. Goes in. Obviously not like the original. There was no sword holster, but that is a really cool addition. But like I said, you can only take his armor off if you take off the head and separate the torso from the body. So that's just a weird little difference, I guess. But with this one, you can actually take all of his armor off without having to take the body apart, which is nice. And there we go. We got the other half of the sword finally. So now they can go together. And there it is. Skeletor can finally get in. Except for I don't have Grayskull. I just have Snake Mountain. So I'll just have to wait a little bit longer, I guess. But like the He-Man, you're kind of limited to the angle on this sword for him. So there's only so many poses that you can get away with showing off the sword before you start. So again, I wish that there was a whole sword of a whole purple power sword for Skeletor's sword. Kind of do something like that. No one ever really fought like this on the show or anything, but you can get him positions like that. One more final thing on Skeletor is that I feel mixed on the open mouth Skeletor. I guess it's kind of something cool because we've seen him a lot. A lot of Skeletor memeage. It revolves around him kind of crying out or whatever. He's screaming into the skies. But I don't know. It just something a little. It does remind me though of the Remco skull kind of Masters of the Universe thing. So like their version of it or whatever. So that's kind of cool. But also the paint on mine is a little bit sloppy. I'm not sure if it's showing up fully in the camera, but some of the teeth the lines of the teeth aren't painted on the side, or there's very few of them. And then I have this like weird smudge kind of going up into the base of his nose there, the bottom of the base of his nose. So I didn't notice that until I opened it. But that's okay. Like in all the pictures and everything, you haven't really been able to tell. But really worth noting. So, but he's Skeletor, man. He's such an awesome figure too. So it's hard not to just really enjoy these toys just in general. Well, there we have it for these amazing figures. I can't believe that. I keep saying stuff like that, but it is really cool that we have something like this. Like, this is something I could share with my nephews and my nieces. Like, this is something that other kids can get in on, and we can get Masters of the Universe back out there. And there's going to be a Netflix cartoon, and I really enjoyed the Transformers cartoon, so that's something. And I'm just really excited that there's going to be Masters of the Universe on the shelves again, alongside of G.I. Joe and Transformers. Like, how cool is that? That is something really special, and I hope that the scared feeling that you're not going to get what you want or whatever, I hope that doesn't like take away from this for you, because this is something that should be celebrated and being excited about. So, guys, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. I'm trying to do a little bit more, just quick to the point episodes. It's been so hard to be creative right now. I feel very under pressure or stifled. I feel lots of different things, I'm sure, like everyone else does, but people need things like this, things like toys, things like videos on YouTube and wherever, to try and kind of have some kind of resemblance of a normal life, but also being aware of what's going on. So thank you again for watching. I really appreciate it. Happy hunting. Good luck, guys. I hope you get what you want. I hope you find what you want, and if you see something, you see a couple of them, leave some for somebody else. Don't just take the whole thing, please. Please, I'm begging you. All right, everyone. Have a good rest of your day.